What's up, everybody? This is Coburn C. Capshaw / Mr. Smiles a Lot with yet another weekly, it seems like now, podcast. Let's Talk Me to LLC podcast, excuse me, with my wonderful and amazing, finally getting him to open up and talk to me. I'm just being silly. My amazing acting singing coach, Garrett States, who has literally been my savior on learning how to finally find my voice, learning how to sing, getting me comfortable with podcasts and being on camera with my advice videos. As you all know, I always talk about giving credit to this man right here, and as you can see from my progress, I very rightfully have a reason to give him credit. So, it's now finally the time to talk to the wonderful, amazing Garrett States. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Kobe. Everything is good.
I'm actually really glad that you're finally doing this, I know it's not easy to always get out of your certain comfort shells, but, I also know that there's a lot of things that you would personally like to talk about to help defend who you are as a person. And, that's why I do what I do, is because I'm here for other people, and I'm trying to show that if you need to talk, that's what I'm here for, right? It's just like my slogan says, I'm here to talk about all of your needs. So as everybody here knows, I like to structure my podcast with questions, but a lot of questions are related to that person and their life and things of that nature. So when it comes to talking to Garrett, my very first question for him, and I cannot wait to hear his answers, is what has your life been like growing up here in St. Louis or from where you were before that has led to where you are today? And I'm talking musical influences to people that you would try to sing like, or just when you first heard your first note, maybe you'd be like, oh, I figured that out, or maybe you have family members who are musically talented and you picked it up from them. So what was that like for you, man?
Well, the first part of my life, I grew up on a farm, a dairy farm in Kansas. So that was about as far away from the stage as you can possibly imagine. But we started traveling. My father started working for the government on missile sites and such, and we started being much more exposed to classical stuff as well as just plain theater. There wasn't a lot in Derby, Kansas at the time, but I always loved it. I always found it very uplifting, and it was just fun to go see something. I didn't understand any of it, but it was fun to go see a show. Mm-hmm. And then we started moving around a lot more, and we wound up in Missouri. And so from like 10 years on, I've been raised in the St. Louis area. And at the time when we got here, there was so much theater in St. Louis. I mean, just so much. And so you got exposed to anything from Broadway stuff to opera to dinner theater. There used to be actually 2 thriving dinner theaters here. Oh, yeah. Then the Fox, and so it's just been, it's been something that I've enjoyed my entire life. I didn't. I had no idea that's what I was going to do. I was enrolled when I graduated from high school, I was enrolled in Boulder, Colorado to go to conservation school. I was going to be a forest ranger. And just me and Smokey the Bear. But I had always gotten leads in shows at school. I wasn't good as far as athletically. That just wasn't my thing. So, but I could sing. So I wound up getting these leads, and everybody said, you really should check out, see if you have anything. You might really have a voice. So that's kind of what led me into taking the plunge. And I grew up, we didn't have a lot of extra money at all, but I asked when I was 16, I asked my mom and dad if I could have two voice lessons for Christmas. And that's it. That's all I wanted, was just 2 voice lessons.
And then you were hooked.
And after this wonderful gentleman, he was a professor at the old Lindenwood College.
Okay.
When there was only one. And Milton F. Regg was his name, and he was just the most incredible man. And he brought things out of my voice that I had no idea existed in the human voice. So that's how it all happened. And from then on, I I got a scholarship to university on my voice and all these things, and so that's kind of where that's all been. But it was a very unobstructed journey. At the same time, it was very unexpected also.
Well, at least you found yourself.
But I did, and I've enjoyed this. I've been in the business a couple of minutes.
So how old were you when you did your first theater production? I'm gonna guess maybe 12 or 15, right? Maybe younger than that.
No, actually, I didn't get involved until I was probably 15.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 15, 16.
Same with me, yeah.
Yeah. Up at that point, it's like I would sing in the church choir. I hated it because my voice was changing. And so I would go to open my mouth to sing a bass note, and it would come out as a very strange bird call. So I really wasn't, I did not enjoy it until I reached about 15. My voice started leveling out a little bit. And then that's when I said, well, maybe there is something to this. And my mom and pop were wonderful, wonderful, loving people, and they encouraged me. They said, let's find out.
All right. That's nothing better than having support.
Oh, fabulous.
But I do remember, this might sound strange, as much as I love singing, I felt maybe back in high school I was a little bit more comfortable doing a theater production than sometimes singing in front of people, which is crazy, because you're just singing this song. It is like a script. But because acting, you're using a whole... There's way more into it. Mm-hmm. So, from your perspective, why do you think that in some aspects I was more comfortable doing a theater production than singing on stage in front of people? From your musical expertise, like, why do you think that was a thing? And mentally for me, you know?
Well, once I actually started finding out what the technical things were about theater and about singing, and this... I grew up it was a little town in Missouri, and there was like one building that was the middle school and the high school, no budget for anything. This was a big farming community that singing, really, seriously, theater,
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I got in university that I really realized how much the singing and the theater... Everything is one thing. It's all connected. It's people say, well, because when I say act your song for me. It's like a song is nothing more than a monologue set to music. Mm-hmm. So if you can tell me the story when you sing something to me, then you've done the job.
That's why I think they made music videos, or at least that might be tied into it. That's my best guess, because you can hear a song, and then you can try to understand it, try to break it down. Then you watch the music video, then you go, "Oh, that's what that means," you know. Mm-hmm. Or heck, even I know I talk about him all the time. Michael Jackson, he was so explosive with his dancing and his singing. You could feel he was telling his story through his dancing, and besides just his songs. Mm-hmm. You know, like not only was he just doing a theater production for you, I mean, like a concert production. He was giving you like a full-on show.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Same with all these other people today, you know, and you are right, it is connected, because I think, well, besides your help, what I think really helped me get comfortable singing in front of people, what besides no character was realizing, you know what, I do have a voice, I can do this, I'm not screaming my notes anymore, I know how to keep on tone, I know how to keep that good cadence, and and now I can sing songs like they're almost nothing, and again, I'm not bragging, obviously. I'm not saying I'm, the next Charlotte Puth or anything. But now, trust me, how I sing versus how I did before, people are like...
You made incredible progress.
I try, I appreciate that. So, well, speaking of music, to segue to the next question. So, I'm pretty sure there's a million different ways that you could answer this, especially coming from you. But what exactly does music mean to you? I mean, obviously it means everything to you because you're in your expertise of your career of what you do, but and don't just give me some generic answer you've heard other musicians here say before. Obviously, we want to hear the real you, but to you in your heart, what does music mean to you as a music teacher, as a singer, as a pianist, everything, just at the core of who Garrett is? Why does music make your heart beat? Does that make any sense? Do you get my metaphor?
Yes, because music. Food fills your stomach. Music fills your soul. Mm-hmm. I have been touched by music, not even realizing it. when I was very young, going to church with my grandmas or with mom and pop or something, that some hymn that was sung, just it touched me. I couldn't analyze it at that point. But music is an amazing, harmonious thing that just, when you think about two little pieces of cartilage that are making these glorious sounds, and every cell in your body vibrates when you sing. It's an all body experience. Mm-hmm. And to me, singing is it's a way of expressing what maybe just verbiage wouldn't do. I could say something to you, but if I sang it to you, it might just touch you more. It means so much, and just the whole history of music, how it came about, whether it's a from cello to voice to whatever, mm-hmm. whether it's the human voice or it's another instrument. It's an amazing gift that God gave us, mm-hmm. and I feel that to share that with somebody, to see the light in someone's face when they are enjoying something that you're doing, mm-hmm. whether you're singing a concert, whether I was singing a concert in Italy, or whether I was doing a show in Thailand or Bavaria or wherever, it's just to look out in that audience and see those faces, yeah. and see the enjoyment that music has given them, and that you're playing an integral part because you're using what I feel is the most magical instrument of all, and that's the human voice. Mm-hmm. And when this gets dinged up, you can't go have it refinished, you can't go have it pounded out or restrung. What you got is what you got. So yeah. This is why I'm always telling my students to take care of their voice. Mm-hmm. Don't go out there and yell and scream at a football game and then expect to sing the next day. It ain't happening. Right. So it's just like working out. You don't ever want to ever exercise. You want to let your body, recover. This might sound like, it's not that I don't respect you, but I haven't been able to practice my singing in a while because I've been so busy doing my media stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you know what, though? I think that might be okay, because my voice might need that recovery time, so that way whenever we have another session and do sing again, it's refreshed for next time, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you believe in that as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's well, like also straining your muscles, it's straining your throat. Your throat is a muscle, right? Right. So, and also when you learn the techniques, which you have worked on your technique a lot, and that's why you've achieved this this progress so deservedly, because you worked hard.
Thank you.
When you know the technique, there are times that whether you might get a cold, you might be someplace that that just you can't vocalize every day. Mm-hmm. So as long as you know the technique and you take care of your voice and don't abuse it, it's like you're going to come back and you're going to be able to come right back into singing. It's not going to be like, oh my gosh, I've lost it. You haven't lost it.
Right. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, it's going to come right back.
You just got to keep trying, That's like me with my boxing coach, MMA coach, Justin mm-hmm. Koff. I might not be fighting right now. I'm not training for a fight, but I'm just training to keep my mind sharp, to keep my body sharp, to keep me in shape. And I've been doing, besides singing, I've been doing martial arts my whole life. Mm-hmm. So why not keep up with the training? I don't see any reason to stop.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. That's why I keep coming to you. You can't be an expert at something without somebody else's help.
Every sensei has learned from another sensei.
Exactly.
Every singer has learned from another singer. A good coach, a good teacher, someone who knows their craft. I don't believe, and even though people say, well, my gosh, they were born with that voice, they've never had a voice lesson, it's like something has guided them. Mm-hmm. And most people, and I've known some people in my years in the business that have these naturally and incredible voices and never had a voice lesson until they realized that might help. And they found somebody who they really believed in and that believed in them, and they helped them to achieve I would say, a longevity of the voice, because that's really what technique does. It not only teaches you how to sing in the now, but it also gives you a longevity of your voice. So you can be singing up until you decide you don't want to sing.
That's like the same thing with martial arts and boxing. I might not be trained for fighting, but I know no matter how old I get, I'll always be able to defend myself. That's longevity there. I don't speak English of learning how to do that. And, I train to fight, so I don't have to. I'm not a violent person. I don't, I don't see any reason to go out and start a fight. But if I were to defend myself, that's the point of doing it.
And it's also keeping your body healthy. So mind and body healthy, important.
Exactly. So speaking of how professional you are, and okay, cool, we got 28 minutes left in here. Just checking the time because that's as much as I love my podcasting, this app doesn't only give us 45 minutes, but whatever, that's fine with me. You don't need to, people like shorter podcasts anyway. But of course, I want you to go into detail as much as you can. But my third question is, and this also can segue to the fourth question, and this is, I know at the beginning I said this is something you've been wanting to talk about for a while, and just like you, I know you don't like to be controversial. I know you're not going to attack other people or say any names, but why do you, and I think it's unfair, and I feel like it's not fair for you to be afraid to post on social media, because I don't feel like anyone should be unless you're being a jerk, but why do you think people come at you or come after you? Can you give me some examples of what people even said about you to where you're like, do they say you're not professional? Do they say just because you don't have some giant studio that you're not some big like Hollywood guy that you're not like worth going to? I don't understand. Especially from my interactions with you. I mean, I honestly feel like I've learned more from you than I would some big old Hollywood producers probably just want to take my money and not even care about me. Know what I'm saying? Like, can you please explain? Like,
well, for the most part, the vocal instructor community there's really pretty much most everybody is nice, and they're supportive. The problem is they're not the ones that get noticed.
Yeah.
The ones that get noticed are the ones that love to come out and criticize others and say things that are just you're not supposed to be saying. They're unethical. A lot of us belong to an organization called NATS. It's the National Association of Teachers of Singing, and there's a code of ethics there, and I have noticed, and I will not name names, but I've noticed three to four different instructors here in St. Louis that tout themselves as quite extraordinary, have broken every one of those ethics. And I have never even met before this happened. I had not met them. I didn't know I have no idea why they decided to say the things behind my back that they did, but they did. And the thing is, really everything does get back to people in a small community. And even though St. Louis is not a tiny town,
word gets around fast.
Word gets around so fast in this town.
And so, everybody knows each other. Like I've ran into people from back when I was in
yes,
shoot, or what high school did you go to? That's the question.
Right. Oh yes, that one. Yes.
Right, but word gets around, and you were saying.
Yeah. So so when my students, what affected me was, I don't really. sounds maybe it sounds bad to say, but I don't really care what people think about me. I mean, I'm not one of these people that says, so I have to be loved and liked and everything like this. I have a lot of very, very dear friends, and and the people that choose to bash me before they meet me, then I don't have time for them anyhow.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what happened. It was interesting, and I just let it go and didn't think much about it until one of my students came in and was very upset by it. That another student that went to one of these particular teachers, she had gone to the lesson with her friend. And this teacher was not very nice, but also asked who this other person was, and she had not asked permission to have her friend come. But then she asked her friend, who was my student, "Who are you? Are you studying with someone? Do you want to study?" And my student said that she says, "Well, yeah, oh yes, I'm studying with somebody I really like a lot." And, "Well, who is it?" And she said my name, and I had never met this person before.
At all, yeah.
At all. They launched into a diatribe on how I was not qualified, how I this, how I that, all of these things. And it upset my students so much that that's what got me steamed up. And I actually called the person and said, "I think we need to have lunch and discuss, because we both are in a very small fishbowl here, and I don't like bad feelings, and I also want to find out why are you attacking me?"
Yeah.
I had never even met you.
Exactly.
I mean, I'd never heard of you until I got here. And so, anyhow, that it never really got resolved because we never had lunch and we never talked about it. But it's something that I feel it happens on every level, not just in the vocal area and acting and all that. I mean, it happens in everything, including corporate America. And you know that it's like everybody's always trying to get ahead by bashing somebody else. Why don't you just try to work harder and make yourself better instead of trying to, elevate your standing by bashing someone else?
That'd be like the episode of what I'm trying to do. Like I'm doing all this stuff to be positive and have fun and just do what I love doing, podcasting, advice videos, and that's why I like to market myself that way. And again, back to what you're saying, I don't have to prove a point. But I'm just doing it because I'm trying to build a legacy for myself. I'm trying to build my own empire. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not chasing clout. I know that, and I know I said this on my other podcasts and my advice videos, and just talking to people in general, or some of my posts. I've said, I think, every now and then. But like one of my friends, who'll be semi-famous or something, they'll post something and boom, they'll get 100 likes and shares and all that, or they'll post a video, get like 1,000 views or something, and then I'll post something and only get like 10 views, 20, not any shares at all or whatever. But the fact that people even want to view my stuff, that's what matters to me.
Exactly.
That's what I care about. And and the thing is that's why I do this podcast, because there is, and I don't know if this relates to what you're saying, but this has been a thing that apparently there's been a study or something that I don't know if it's been a study, but someone a long time ago, I watched this video talking about how if you are a YouTuber, if you put yourself out there in social media, then you're automatically placed in the category of being a sociopath, because of the fact of you put your content out there and you don't care about what other people think. That's not true. I care about what people do think about me, but that's why I also do things like this, so they get to know who I am as well. Because sure, I might have a nice look, an advice video, or a nice workout video, or boxing video, and under the surface, people might be like, "Oh, here's just another marketer or influencer." No, they're like, I'm beyond what you see on camera, but I'm also letting people see what they see is what they get, and I'm not being fake. I'm not trying to be
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the caveat that I should have said when I was saying, I don't really care if people like me. I don't want people not to like me.
Yes.
It's just my purpose is not to go out there and just like, oh my gosh, there are people that say, oh, I have 10,000 friends on some social media thing. I'm thinking, okay, you live in the suburbs and nobody knows you, and you're bragging about that?
Right.
I mean, that to me is like, no, they're not friends. They're people that follow you. So for me, I would rather have 5 friends that like me and that have my back than 10,000 friends on social media. And I'm not bashing anybody for having that, but it's just, I think that it's the reality check, I think, that people need to have. So,
and not, as you know, I don't try to have a big ego. I mean, and that's the other thing I'm afraid of, is that maybe some people might find me annoying because of how much I post. But you know what? I'm working hard. And I, if I'm proud of it, then I am going to post it, especially if I know it's clean and not controversial and something that everybody can enjoy.
Well, and the fact is that you are out there doing it.
Yeah.
They're sitting at home tweeting bad things about people who are out there doing it. Get out there and do it.
Put your foot in the door.
Put your foot in the door. Take it out of your mouth. Put it in the door. But don't hammer on people that because they're out there doing things, moving forward. And it's like, if you don't have the guts to do it yourself, well then, okay. But don't bash somebody else for them having the backbone to go do what they want to do.
You have no idea how many times I've failed in life to get to where I am right now. And I'm even only halfway there. I'm not even there, in my opinion. But it keeps me humble, and it makes me want to keep going.
Well, you learn from your mistakes. You really do, and that sounds very trite because it's a cliche thing to say, but you do learn from your mistakes.
Exactly.
If you do, then you will go forward, and if you wallow in them, then and say, oh no, you won't. But you learn from everything you do.
Exactly.
Even from this backbiting that happened here. It's like I learned, and I actually prepare most of my students. The younger ones especially, you may hear this, you may hear that. Bring it to me first.
Exactly. It's so funny you say that because I remember this is months ago. I made a video and some of the audio was really off. And at one point there was a part in that I didn't include. So as the video was playing, I had to physically make the words show up. I left this part out. But then the next day, instead of getting encouraged, I made another advice video talking about why making mistakes is okay as long as you tried your best and you can make up for it. And I literally used my video that I posted that I messed up on the day before as an example.
Right.
And again, I didn't get ahead of myself. I didn't get a big ego. I'm not like, I'm the best at this. I don't need to screw this. I don't need to have improved myself to new one that I messed up. Why not make it? And you know what was fun for me? I made fun of myself.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to laugh at yourself because.
Well, the easiest way to keep people from laughing at you is laugh at yourself first.
Exactly. If you take yourself too seriously, then that's when you start to get a big ego, and that's when you start to turn into a jerk, and you feel like you're better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And then once you start to lose friends and followers and people that you thought, we'll see how you really end up. It's like back in high school, like I told you, almost everyone who said I wasn't going to be anything. Again, I'm not bragging, but and then I see half of what they're doing, and they're not.
Absolutely.
Because you act like a jerk. That's called karma for a reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me see. Okay, we got about 17 minutes left of recording time. So let's make 4 and 5 both a combined question.
Okay.
So number 4 is how to watch, and actually, it does involve number 3. How do you personally feel like it would be the best way to watch out for fake music teachers? And then the 5th question is, what is your personal opinion of my progress with you so far? And why aren't you glad that I didn't go to another fake teacher? I guess we could let's segues into each other. So.
Well, there's a lot of people that love to. Technically, they may know how to teach. Okay, because you go to university, you learn things. So technically, they may be very good at knowing what they're doing. The problem is, a lot of people have not practiced what they're teaching. Not what they're preaching, but what they're teaching. Okay?
Right.
They haven't been out there on the road for 2.5 years in a show, 8 shows a week. Maybe your day off is your travel day to another city or whatever like this. So, and I'm not knocking them for not doing this, but at the same time, a working artist is going to be a better teacher. And I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this. But a working artist, somebody that has been out there that has done this, they've been on the boards, they've done shows, they've traveled, they've done concerts, they've whatever. They know the nuances of the business. There's just things that my students go away prepared to deal with because I've already dealt with them. I've already been in that situation. So I can tell them when they say, well, what should I expect at this, what should I expect here when I go to New York and I'm trying to find an agent or something, what should I expect? Well, I can tell them these things. I can share that with them. Okay, so I think the people that are saying, it's like, oh no, you come to me, I have a degree in this and a degree in that. It's like degrees that's wonderful. I have a lot of friends who have multi PhDs. But have you ever been on stage? Have you ever been in a dressing room that you're crammed in a dressing room because you got there and the dressing room was as big as what they said it was? Have you ever had a cold and yet your understudy's not ready, so you have to go on and sing?
Right.
Because the President of the United States is sitting in the audience? I have.
Right.
So I have experienced that. I'm not saying that my technique is any better than the people that just have the technique. But the people that are out there saying, oh yeah, come on, I have that. Try to find out what they've done. Not just what they know, what have they done? And you came in here and, I mean, you made some sounds that were really interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting sounds. But the thing is, though, Kobe, is that you listened when I talked to you about technique. You listened, you processed, and you used it. You know, and you practice a lot. You know, you don't get somewhere by doing 45 minutes or an hour once a week and expect to get better unless you practice the rest of the days as well. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very proud of you that you've done this. I'm glad you didn't go someplace that somebody's just like, oh well, I'm not going to make him any better, but he's not going to get any worse. I'll just take his money. It's like
we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I there was a voice in there. You just didn't know how to get it out. And now it's like you're singing this stuff. You're not straining. You're not screaming. It's like you've come so far.
Thank you.
And your lovely wife who sits in here sometimes and listens to you just smiles from ear to ear. So it's I'm very happy that you came to me.
Right. Back to what you were saying really quick. It's hilarious that you say that because I don't have a business degree. But I feel like sometimes, now don't get me wrong, schooling is very important. I am not obviously, but sometimes I've noticed that people who have more of experience actually know more than the people who have sat in class all day long, which is crazy. Now, everything that I've learned from marketing and advertising, that was all online classes for my investor. I learned everything, but all this editing stuff, I taught it to myself. Mm-hmm. It took me 6 years to get to where I am, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason that, again, like, just like you, or like I was listening to you, the reason that I feel like I like how I'm marketing myself and might be slow because I'm not one of these fake pyramid scheme marketers that's going to say, hey, read my book and I'll earn your business $30,000, especially when I have no algorithm to show you or no screenshots to show you about how many of my clients do. It's like, what?
Yeah.
As opposed to where everything you see on video, everything you see on my Instagram, my posts, my social media, it's not just for, marketing myself, it's for me showing people, hey, this is who I am as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm not being fake on that aspect. And, even... and everything. I've got my prices listed. I have my services.
Right.
Beyond just, and I feel like people who have experience, just like you said, people who are also working in the field while doing it, you trust them more because they don't have that big, again, with the ego of, oh, I'm better than everyone else now, I don't need to keep trying. Mm-hmm. That's like with fighting, with those boxers who get ahead of themselves. They don't stay hungry for fighting anymore, so they start slacking off. They start, getting into, bad drugs and alcohol, mm-hmm. women, and gaining a bunch of weight. And then they go into a fight and get hurt real bad. Mm-hmm. So it's like that. That'd be like me assuming, like, oh, I'm some big marketer guy, I can stop doing this, I need to quit. And then, like, I fall off the face of the earth from what I'm doing mm-hmm. now.
To me, it comes down to basically know your craft.
Yes.
If you're going to teach your craft, know your craft. And
right.
As far as my personal view is, I've been on stages all over the world, mm-hmm. and I know my craft.
Like with me in martial arts, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing this since I was 5 years old, and hence why, Freddie trusts me to be his teacher. Mm-hmm. My buddy Patrick, I've been showing my Ethan stuff here and every now and then. He's a black belt in Taekwondo, and he's even impressed with the stuff I'm showing him. That's what I mean is that I might not be an expert, but I'm an expert in my own style, and it's effective for me because
yes.
I work at it, I practice it.
Yes.
Same thing with my personal trainer. It gets to the point to where my wife was with me last time, and she was like, what muscles do you work with this, and how do you do that when it comes to, this deadlift, or when I was at Supplement Superstore. I saw this guy trying to lose weight, and I was talking about, the supplements he's taking, which is the same thing I did. I showed him my before and after pictures. I told him about intermittent fasting, and I told him about this, and this, how supplement I do this, and I had to look up at the guys working there. It goes like, I'm sorry to mean to get ahead of you, not just sound like an expert, like I know more than you. Like, no, dude, you've got it down to a science. Great job. Things like that. You know, I mean, it sparks me to maybe want to get my PT degree. Who knows?
Exactly.
It's about trying,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Last two little questions. Actually, I feel like this really segued, and you might have already answered about what music means to you, but why do you think that music is such a good release for you? Just like extra. Okay, actually, let's combine the last two questions because it's the same thing. Why do you think that, yes, exercise is a good release to help train your voice with breath control and just getting lost in your music, and how do you think that can segue into singing and dancing and just letting yourself loose musically? How can that be a good release to clear your head or just whatever you have to do, just like exercise, you know, like...
Well, as far as exercising, I think that as a singer, you are your instrument, and you also use every muscle in your body when you're singing. So the more you know about being physically fit, the more you know about your instrument, which is your body. So if you know that if you relax the diaphragm instead of holding it tense, your breath support's going to be better. Or if you tense up underneath your scapulas, it's probably going to inhibit your breath support. All these different things that you know about your body because you're exercising is going to be applicable to your singing. Mm-hmm. When you're a dancer, you hold your stomach in and up. Okay, when you're a singer, it has to be down and out. Okay, so but knowing the physicality of how to do that, because I was in ballet for years and years, and I was also opera singing, and all the things. So it's like when I would cross the quad at the university from a ballet class, I would have to relax relax my stomach, relax my diaphragm, breathe around all the way around me. So by the time I got to the other side, I could go to my voice lesson. So it's important for you to know both, because singing and acting is a physical thing.
Right.
You just don't sit there and sing or sit there and act. You have to move, and you have to know how those muscles support each one.
Years ago, there was some singer, famous musician, or I think I haven't come in. I feel bad. Can't remember the name of who he or she was, but they said the best thing for you to do, especially when it comes to training your voice, is to sing while you run, because that will really help you get breath control. And they said don't be mad if your notes aren't perfect. Don't be mad if they're like, because at the end when you do sing, like there have been, speaking of which, there have been times where I'll get done working out with my boxing coach, or get done with a PT session, and it'll wake me up, put me in that good jazzy, like mood, get my endorphins going, and then I'll start singing, and my notes are so sharp, like everything's on point, and I'm like, oh, this is what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So exactly to what you were saying, yeah.
Yeah, like a good run, that's going to expand your lungs. Mm-hmm. When you're working out, if you're breathing the right way, when you're lifting weights, you're going to breathe out and breathe in at the right times. That's going to teach you more about singing and stuff also. So it's the two are very simpatico. They work together. Mm-hmm. And I had people saying, well, but one of the most famous opera singers I ever knew was way overweight and all this sort of thing. I said, okay, but the breathing, knowing the body, was something that this opera singer knew. And yes, could have lost some weight, and did. Did it change the voice? No. Mm-hmm. But because he knew the structure and technique of what and how to breathe, how to hold yourself when you're singing, those things all come to pass, come to play in performing as well.
It's like technique, when you lift a weight, you want to work those certain muscle groups, and just like with the throat, you want to, open the larynx, you want to use your breath, you want to use your head voice, you want to sing, as you always say in the mask, you want to put on that frontal voice. There's so many elements to it, just like with weightlifting, you don't just lift. You squeeze that part of your muscle
Yeah.
that you're lifting so you get more out of it, so you can actually focus in on what you're trying to mold and sculpt, obviously, I just wanted to say, to wrap things up, you are an amazing teacher, and you are an expert in what you do. You're an expert in practicing what you preach. And I just want to say, and I'm dead serious, I just want to fully thank you for helping me get to where I am, because, if it wasn't for you, my investor Alex, and everyone else who believes in me, and my trainer, and everyone, they're great supporters, but it's funny how even just you teaching me how to sing better segue into me getting more comfortable on camera.
Yes.
Yes. And I could have gone to anybody, like you said. I could have gone to one of these big fake teachers, oh, look at me, I've worked with all these famous artists and blah 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 blah, and then you come to find out that they really didn't. And you're like, I'm giving you $1,000 a week for what now?
It's like saying to somebody, "Have you been on Broadway?" "Oh, I've been on Broadway so many times." Yeah, you walked on Broadway. You weren't in a show.
Oh, you mean you were a stagehand? You helped set everything up.
You walked around Broadway. Okay, that's
right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Garrett, like I said, I just want to say thank you very much, and I really want to say thank you for being on my podcast with me. I really hope that this gets out, and I really hope that people tune in, especially since I am speaking to such a professional as yourself, and I've actually been wanting to get somebody who is more of an expertise and professional in what they do on my podcast, because I can already tell, the way you, even just talking to me, it was very, very professional, and I'm not saying anything about my other friends, obviously, because, my God, I love everyone who I have on my podcast, but it's nice to talk to somebody who is an expert at something that really know the nitty-gritty of what they're going to say.
Well, I appreciate you asking me. And I really do. And I'm very glad that you walked through the door of my studio.
Thank you. And I hope that this podcast helps break the mold about those fake teachers versus somebody who's real like you. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. I truly do greatly appreciate you all, and I love you all very much. If you need a marketer, advertiser, if you need a boxing coach, martial arts coach in St. Louis, if you need a acting coach, if Garrett will let me, I will put his number out, but like we said, for social media safety, if not, then I understand. This has been Coburn C. Capshaw / Mr. Smiles a Lot and Garrett States with yet another Let's Talk Media LLC podcast, and we are now going to wrap things up. I appreciate you all listening. I love you all, and I'll see you guys next time.